Welcome to Embodiment Sunday at Wellington Heights Community Church. Embodiment Sundays are one of the things that make our faith community unique. It's a way that we lean into the new thing among us that God is doing. Embodiment Sunday is a day that we set aside for rest, for connection with God, self, others, and all of creation through the embodiment of a spiritual practice. Today's spiritual practice is Visio Divina. Visio Divina is an extension of the spiritual practice of Lectio Divina. Visio Divina, or holy seeing, is a way that we pray with our eyes. Throughout the years, the church has put icons, stained glass windows, the cross, art, mosaic, statues in churches as an invitation for us to pray with our eyes. During the formation of Wellington Heights Community Church, art has been a key piece in living out and into God's good news among us. We painted a peace table. We've made signs of peace, a mural, and even hosted community-based art projects that share messages of hope, peace, joy, and love. All of these and more are an invitation for us to turn towards God in openness, gratitude, and curiosity. Today, on this Embodiment Sunday, you are invited to give yourself the gift of simply being here, being present in this moment. All ages are invited and welcomed and encouraged to practice in Visio Divina today. I'm going to go through a brief agenda of what our day is going to look like as we gather separate yet together in spirit. We are going to begin with a centering practice with Visio Divina. And then we'll transition into a creative activity in which you will want to grab some markers or a pencil or a pen, notebook or a journal or a piece of paper. And then we will close with a benediction. I want to make a note that you are welcome here today, no matter how you might be feeling as you watch, no matter how hopeful or weary you are, no matter what is happening among you right now, no matter what side conversations might be happening in your home right now as you watch together, no matter how long your to-do list is for today and the week ahead, no matter how wiggly the kids already are, all of it is welcomed here. Every part of you is welcomed, and there is space for all of us here together. For this first portion of our centering, we are going to be practicing Visio Divina. Before we practice Visio Divina, I want to read Matthew 5, verses 1 through 12. And this is a fresh translation by N.T. Wright. When he went to the crowds, he went up to the hillside and sat down. His disciples came to him. He took a deep breath and he began his teaching. Blessings on the poor in spirit. The kingdom of heaven is yours. Blessings on the mourners. You're going to be comforted. Blessings on the meek. You're going to inherit the earth. Blessings on people who hunger and thirst for God's justice. You're going to be satisfied. Blessings on the merciful. You will receive mercy yourselves. Blessings on the pure in heart. You will see God. Blessings on the peacemakers. You'll be called God's children. Blessings on people who are persecuted because of God's saving plan. The kingdom of heaven belongs to you. Blessings on you when people slander you and persecute you and say all kinds of wicked things about you falsely because of me. Celebrate and rejoice. There's a great reward for you in heaven. That's how they persecuted the prophets who went before you. This is the word of God for the people of God. If you have been following along with us in the new year, we are in the midst of a sermon series on the Beatitudes, or the Sermon of the Mount, and considering what it looks like to follow the call or the way of Jesus together. We're now going to transition into the practice of Visio Divina. I encourage you for this portion of our Embodiment Sunday to put your imagination hats on. Get curious, be filled with wonder. I want to remind all of us that there is no wrong answers or way of engaging when it comes to a spiritual centering practice. I invite you right now to be with what is in this moment. If you maybe feel uncomfortable with this practice of Visio Divina or think it is really, really strange, I invite you to be honest about that, to lean into that, to be curious of why this is. No matter how you may be coming this morning, our whole selves are welcomed. I'm now going to share our image on our screen. I invite you to gaze at this image. I invite you to allow your eyes to follow along the image. Notice what stands out to you. Is there anything that catches your eye? Notice the colors, the shapes, the images, the shadows, the intensity. Notice if you have questions right away as you've been gazing at this image. Notice if you feel curious. Notice if you feel nothing. Notice if you feel inspired. Notice if you feel uncomfortable. What do you see is happening in this image? Notice if you sense any emotions or moods that come through this piece. And remember, there's no right or wrong answers. Just be with what is. Consider, is there any place where you notice resistance, invitation, discomfort, or maybe even agitation? Just a few more moments in this space of gazing. Just notice what you notice. There's nothing you need to write down or figure out. Just notice, observe, and be with this image. Now, let's zoom in to this image. Do you notice anything different? How about here? What do you notice? Just notice what you notice. Here we are, zoomed back out on the image. Does anything stand out for you now that we have zoomed back out? Anything different? More of the same? Any emotions that have emerged? Wiggliness, indifference, settledness, connectedness, uneasiness, maybe boredom. Are you reminded of anything? Do you find yourself being drawn in or drawn away from? Just notice what you notice. You'll notice that the artist's name is in the left-hand corner of your screen. This piece is done by Kelli Latimore Icons. We utilize this artist multiple times throughout the year as a backdrop for our sermon series or for Visio Divina. Kelli Latimore says this about their artwork. Iconography has since become a practice of more considerations of color and light, of brushstroke and form, symbol and meaning. I am trying to become a better painting. I do not wish to approach this as an art form that simply follows an inherited tradition, knowledge, and practice. I want it to be a holy pondering, meditation, and a process that potentially brings about a new way of seeing for the viewer and me. What is the artwork in our churches and communities for? Who are the saints that are among us here and now? Where is Christ present right in our own backyards? My hope is that these icons can do what all art can potentially do, which is to create more dialogue by transcending our biases, listening and having inner silence about our convictions, our inherited traditions, or our favorite ideas. We can become open to the patterns of work, knowledge, and experience we may not have seen in other or buried in ourselves. The other may have something to teach us about who God is, the world we live in, and who are our neighbors. This is the real work of being human and of art, being more present. I'm going to continue to read a few words that the author shared about this particular piece entitled The Beatitudes. Blessed are you. To be a Christian is to live the Beatitudes. In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus is telling us, if you are looking for me later, how to be like me after I'm gone, don't go looking in the tomb. Don't look toward heaven, but go be with the poor in spirit, with those who mourn, with the meek, those who hunger, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemakers, and those who are persecuted. The Beatitudes are Jesus. In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus is poor in spirit. He mourns at the death of Lazarus as he is in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's meek when he's falsely accused and yet says nothing. He thirsts on the cross. He is merciful when he says, Father, forgive them. He's pure in heart when he says, not my will, but yours. He's a peacemaker when he tells Peter to put away the sword. He's persecuted by the priests, scribes, soldiers, and bystanders during the entire Passion story. As Reverend Dr. Sam Wells notes, every beatitude comes in three parts. There's the first part, which is a description of the cross. It's thirsty, it's meek, it's merciful, it's persecuted. Then there is the last part, which is a resurrection promise. They will be comforted. They will inherit the earth. They will be filled. They will receive mercy. They will be called children of God. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. To be a Christian is to live in Jesus's cross and resurrection. Between the cross and resurrection lies a comma. Every beatitude has a comma in the middle. Wells beautifully suggests that pause, that place where the cross and the resurrection meet, that is your life as a Christian. To be a Christian is to dwell in that comma that lies between the first and second half of each beatitude. That comma is your home on earth. That comma is where you find Jesus. That place is in our own backyards. It is in Gaza and those mourning the catastrophic loss of life. It's in the personhood of the refugee, the unhoused, the downcast, the depressed, the lonely, with those protesting war and violence. This is where we meet Jesus. This is Christianity and where to find and live it. This is blessedness. Blessed are you. I now invite you, if you haven't already grabbed a piece of paper and a writing utensil, to press pause and go find something to write with. Once you have all of the materials you need, or if you need a little stretch break, you're welcome to do that right now. Once you have grabbed everything that you need, you've been stretched out, you've gotten the wiggles out a little bit, I invite you, if you are watching this with someone else, I invite you to just simply share one or two words that have come to mind as you have looked at this image and gazed at it during our time together. If you are watching by yourself, I invite you to write this word or a few of these words down on your piece of paper. If you are gathering with others this morning, I invite you to take notice. Did any of you have the same noticings or the same words? Were there differences? Were you inspired by what other people noticed? For this next portion of our activity, I am going to warn you, it is going to move quickly. You are going to be writing quickly, and you are going to want me to slow down with the prompts. But I'm not going to. Your hand is going to be moving pretty quickly and consistently. If I give you a prompt and you don't finish it, that's a-okay. That's just fine. For each prompt that I offer you, here is what we're going to do together. Let's not write down a full sentence, but maybe just a few words. Think 5 to 9 words. It doesn't need to be in a grammatically correct sentence at all, just specific and concrete words. Be as specific as you possibly can. So here we go. Let's take a deep breath in and exhale. Here is your first prompt. Consider what has surfaced frequently for you during the Beatitudes sermon series and this Visio Divina practice. Consider what theme continues to bubble up or words that continue to stand out for you. So write this down. 5 to 9 words. You can even think of it like a bullet points, writing down your page. If you were to tell a trusted loved one about this theme or the words that you've noticed, what would you say to capture this in 5 to 9 words? If your theme or your noticings were a color or a collection of color, how would you describe it in just a few words? Is there a memory that connects to why you might be drawn to this theme or this particular word? I encourage you to go with your first thought, your initial thought. Oftentimes we can be concerned about having the right answer. Just remember there's no right or wrong answer. Go with your first thought of a memory that might connect. 5 to 9 words. Is there a moment, a particular moment in your life that might be connected to this theme? 5 to 9 words. If there's not a particular moment, that's okay. Is there anything that has happened in the last month that has been connected to this theme or the word that continues to surface for you? And if so, jot down 5 to 9 words about this. Now consider, is there something in our community, in our faith community, in the culture around us, or in the world that seems to be connected with this theme? 5 to 9 words. Now, if your theme was an object, what would it be? Get descriptive, use some adjectives. What does it look like? How is it used? How would you describe it? And now we take a break. How was that? Did you feel rushed? Was it hard? Was it peaceful? Was it liberating? Was it reflective? Take a few moments to name, either out loud or silently, how this practice was. Remember, there's no wrong answers. Just be honest. Now, I want to invite you, take a look back at what you had jotted down, the words, the phrases, and consider that you have just written a bunch of beautiful poetic lines, lines that might just end up in a liturgy at Wellington Heights Community Church. I want you to take some time to look over your lines. Pick two that just leap off the page for you of what you've written. You might want to think of that they come into bold print, they shimmer. Maybe you want to underline or circle or highlight those two lines. Maybe these lines you know right away what they're going to be, what stood out to you. Or maybe you need a few moments to consider. If you're feeling like, whoa, Stephanie, that just was a really confusing, fast process, and you need a few minutes, a few moments to finish off some thoughts, please feel free to press pause and do so, or you are welcome to take them exactly as they are. So here is what we're going to do next. We're going to get to writing. We are going to do our creative activity. So what we are going to do, we're going to write 4 lines, and here is how they're going to be organized. So the first line, you are going to write an entirely brand new line. In line 2, you're going to choose one of the phrases that glimmered from you from your previous writings. Line 3, you're going to write a brand new line. In line 4, you're going to choose the second phrase that glimmered for you. So go ahead, you can do it on the same piece of paper, or you might want to grab a new one. Whatever you prefer to do is just fine. Let's just take a few moments to begin this portion of the activity. So 2 brand new lines and 2 from what you have previously written. haven't lost you yet. I just want to say you are doing great. I'm really, really thankful that we can embody our faith in maybe a new way, in a creative way together as a community. In these new lines that you're writing, you can write anything that comes to mind. Maybe it's connected to your other lines, maybe it's not. You could also be inspired and draw from some of the other lines that you wrote previously but didn't glimmer as much as the two that you chose. Maybe you want to include some of the phrases and the wording that you'd previously written. So this is going to be the base of what we do next. A few more minutes to write those new lines. We're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for it to be perfectly wordsmithed at all. What this is doing is to help us process what has been surfacing for us through this Beatitudes following the call sermon series and through Visio Divina. All right, this is going to set us up for what we are going to do next. You can stay on this same page that you're writing on. And now we are going to add some more lines. So in this next set of 4 lines, the first line, you are going to take what you wrote in line 2 from above and write it here. After you finish writing down the repeat of line 2, you're invited to write a brand new line in this line 2. And then you'll repeat line 4 from above. And then in this line 4, you'll write a brand new line. And a reminder, this is not a professional poetry or writing class. Things do not have to be perfectly worded or written. You can simply write down thoughts or words or phrases. It can be connected or it cannot be connected. Whatever you are inspired by is welcomed. What this practice can be helpful for, this can be a poetic form of writing that can turn on repetition, right? And you are beginning to notice what you've been noticing. From your time of reflection, you begin to notice what you've noticed. Maybe through this practice, you've noticed that a grief or a hope or inspiration has been revealed. This practice can be a good form of writing for us to understand what's going on within us beneath the surface. Maybe we begin to see what's been inspiring us, what's been on our mind, what's concerning to us. It's a helpful way that we can put words to themes that continue to surface, what continues to bubble up in your life. This can help us to see what we are thinking about and maybe look at it in a new way. I feel like writing in this form can be a helpful tool for exploring our faith, a tool for spiritual formation. The repetition of the lines in this is helpful for discovery, for curiosity, for leaning in. what we return to in our thoughts and in our actions is often what is forming us. And this can bring light to that. We have one more activity portion. So here we're going to write another 4 lines. In line 1, we're going to write the repeat of line 2 from right above us. And then in line 2, we'll write a new line. And then in line 3, we'll repeat in line 4 from above. And then in line 4, we'll write another new line. Keep going. You're doing great. I'm proud of each of you for engaging in this creative practice. Take a few more moments to write line 2 and line 4 for new lines. All right. If you need a few more moments to write, you're welcome again to press pause at any time that you might need. I want to express my gratitude for you sticking through it, to engaging in these creative spiritual practices today. I'm really thankful that we've been able to enter into this time together as a community. And think about all the beautiful prayers or poems you may want to say that we wrote today. Imagine if at the beginning of this practice, I would share that after Visio Divina, we are going to be writing call and response prayers or poems today, a liturgy, however you may want to name what you have just written. I think that we all may have felt a tendency or a temptation to just close out of this practice, to opt thinking, well, I'm not a writer. I can't write poetry or prayers. I'm not qualified to do so. But look, you just did it. We all wrote something meaningful, sharing and considering what has been surfacing for us as we consider the Beatitudes together as a community. At Wellington Heights Community Church, we take Embodiment Sunday seriously. We celebrate this new way of resting, connecting, and embodying spiritual practices as we create space for both contemplation and action, to participate in the inward and outward work, to embody liturgy, what can be defined as the work of the people for the good of the whole. All too often, the writing and the sharing of liturgy in a communal setting, like a worship service, has been limited to just a select few. At Wellington Heights Community Church, we are serious about having the voices of the people being represented. You are invited to consider sharing your reflections either about this experience on Embodiment Sunday, or if you'd be interested in sharing your prayer or your poem, however you want to name it, during a Sunday service as part of our liturgy, please reach out to me and let me know. We'd love to celebrate with you, hear your voice, and hear how God has been working within you and among you on this Embodiment Sunday. If you're interested in that, please email me at Stephanie at Wellington Heights Community Church Now that we have practiced this together, I'm going to close our time together with a benediction. I invite you to engage in this benediction however you prefer. You may read along with me. You may close your eyes, open up your hands, and receive. However, it feels best for you to engage with God in this moment, you're invited to do so. Let's pray together this benediction. Go now with the call of Christ stirring in your hearts. Get up, go ahead, do something, move. You who hunger and thirst for justice, for you will be satisfied. Get up, go ahead, do something, move. You who are peacemakers, for you will be called children of God. May you leave this space not as passive spectators, but as active participants in God's kingdom, living the Sermon on the Mount to build a just and humane society so that the poor, the voiceless, and the powerless may know hope. Go in the name of the one who leads us beyond despair into life abundant, alive, and full of holy action. Amen. Thank you for joining me on this Embodiment Sunday as we gather separate yet together in spirit. May God's peace be with you.